Do you want a solid brand message to attract your ideal clients? If so, listen in as Pamela Bruner shares the 3 types of brands and which one is best for your business. She also shares the 3 keys to create your own solid brand message.
Welcome to this week's episode of Biz Success in 15, where top experts share hot tips and strategies that you can implement in as little as 15 minutes to build your dream business. And now here's your host, the Visibility Wiz, Cindy J.
Hi, I'm Cindy J, the Visibility Wiz, and welcome to this episode of Biz Success in 15. Our guest today is Pamela Bruner, and she was an unsuccessful life coach, and she understands the transformational journey, having to overcome her own challenges with marketing and sales in order to share her gifts. 10 years ago, she started her business and grew to 7 figures in less than 3 years. She's also the co-author of Tapping into the Ultimate Success, a book and DVD with Jack Canfield, creator of Chicken Soup for the Soul. Welcome, Pamela. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Cindy. It's such a pleasure to be here today.
And to get started, can you explain why coaches need like a solid brand message? I know this is one of the things that you're very adamant about for people to get this solid brand message. What is a solid brand message, and what are a few steps that our listeners can take to get started with creating their own solid brand message?
Great question. I love talking about this because when I talk about branding for coaches, I say that there are really 3 different kinds of brands that you can have. You can have a modality-based brand is one of them. Now, because coaching is a modality. So if you try to sell yourself as a coach, if you say, I'm a coach, coaching is wonderful. That's the way I was taught to sell life coaching, and it was dramatically unsuccessful. More people know about coaching now than they did 10, 15 years ago,
Right.
But still, it's not a well understood, like, why you go to a doctor, you don't know why you go to a coach usually. And so if you try to market yourself based on your modality, you're on a level with everybody else, right? You're a commodity. So I don't suggest modality-based branding. Another kind of branding is charisma-based branding. And if you're very charismatic, if you're one of those people that walk into a room and everybody kind of looks at you and watches you and stuff like that, you can brand on that, but you're going to be limited often to your physical presence. It's very hard to scale that kind of business. You'll hit a ceiling, and it's just very stressful to build that kind of business. And not everybody has that charisma. Also, it doesn't always work well online because your charisma can show up in video, but sometimes people who are charismatic in person and on stage aren't on video. It's really extraordinary. So there are limitations to a charisma-based brand. The 3rd type of brand is called a results-based brand. You can probably tell from the name what that's about. Is offering a specific result or outcome for your work. So you're not just coaching people to see what comes up. I was also trained as an EFT practitioner, and I don't just get together and tap with people and see what problems come up. We're looking for a specific outcome. In your case, in my case, it's business success, and yours is visibility. And so there's a specific outcome to our work. And so when I say a solid brand for a coach, I'm usually talking about a results-based brand with a solid outcome and messaging that describes that. Does that help?
It does. Can you give us an example of a good solid brand message?
Sure. I could say my own brand message. So at Attract Clients Online, we support transformational entrepreneurs, coaches, healers, consultants, speakers, authors, trainers to create their brand, their message, their high ticket offers, and be extremely well paid for their gifts so they can grow and scale and impact more people in the world. And so I'll kind of unpack that message. So I talked about the type of people we serve. We don't help and brand everyone. We help transformational entrepreneurs. What specifically do we help them do? Branding, high ticket offers, scaling online, and so they can be well paid and make a great impact in the world. So there are very distinct parts of that brand message. Now that you know the 3 keys, you can create one too.
And to me, that seems like a longer message, and I'm very
curious
about that.
That is a long one.
A lot of people say you should have a short 3 to 7 word message that describes what you do. I'm sure yours would be attract clients, but with something else. But what's the difference? When should you use a shorter brand message versus a longer brand message?
Great question. Partly it's so funny because I'm used to talking to people about offline networking situations and what you might say if you're in a group of people. And now, of course, none of us are in a group of people. So we're using messages online. My short version would be I help coaches and consultants to attract clients online. That would be a very short version because I like including be well paid for your gifts and impact and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, I could shorten it down that much. And of course, it includes my business name, which is a plus in that. So when would you use a short and long message? It's funny because partly I want to say, take your social cues, but a very short brand message, like the kind that you talked about, is great in the signature of your email. So don't just sign your name. If your URL says it all, great. If your URL doesn't quite say it, then what if you had, money and marketing expert for the transformational industry in your SIG? Like that's a great way. And we call that an expert title, not a business description, but either way, you're letting people know in a very acceptable way who you are and what you do.
And I think branding and the message is so important. I know I always tell everybody, and I'm sure you'll agree, is whenever you have a good, solid message, then everything you do should fall within that message, which helps you know what to say yes to, what to say no to, and really build your business.
Oh, I absolutely love that, Cindy. Using your brand message as a definition of what you do and what you don't, so you can use it as a litmus test for saying yes or no to opportunity. What a great way to frame brand message. Usually I talk about brand message in terms of attracting your ideal clients and making sure that they understand why they can trust you and why they should talk to you. But what you just said is a completely different and very valuable use of your brand message.
I know also that you've had challenges. We all have challenges. So could you describe one of your challenges that you had to overcome in order to achieve your level of success?
Oh, there have been so many. One of the things that always kind of surprises people is that when I started this business, I had a very severe social anxiety. So while I was comfortable on stage because I had been formerly a professional musician, I literally had trouble walking into a networking event, a room of people, even 10 or 12 people, talking about what I do, listening to the other people talk about what they do, not because I couldn't express, I didn't have the words, but inside, my inner critic, my little voice was going, they don't really want to listen to you. You need to leave. And sometimes I did. I would just leave and go to my car and cry. I was so uncomfortable. And so it was quite a bit of mindset work. And EFT tapping was the particular modality that I used, and many, many others to overcome that. And now, I can walk into a room of any number of people and enjoy the conversations and feel fully expressed, and people like talking to me, and I'm clear that they like talking to me. But it was a journey for sure.
2 questions. You said you was comfortable on stage because you'd been a musician, but would have you been comfortable on stage speaking as well, like speaking about your products?
Yes. Yeah. That didn't change. Now, I wasn't as good at it as I might have been. When I look at early videos of myself, I find all these verbal anomalies and things that I used to do that I no longer do, and I consider traits of a poor speaker. I did get better at it, but I wasn't uncomfortable at it. I just needed to improve. Whereas with the social anxiety, it was truly uncomfortable.
And also, you've mentioned this a couple times, EFT. So for those of us that may not know what it is, can you explain what it is and how it helps people?
Sure. EFT, often called tapping, is a simple self-administered acupressure technique that's been scientifically proven to calm the amygdala, the fear center of the brain, and lower the cortisol, or the stress hormone levels in the bloodstream. So when you do tapping, you're literally calming your nervous system down. And, as many people know, when you are in a heightened state of fear or anxiety or something like that, literally parts of your brain start shutting down and you are not as resourceful. You're not as smart. You're not as creative. And so calming the brain so you can bring those creative parts of your brain back online is a really wonderful thing to do to enhance your life and your business work and your business acumen and all of that. So it's a powerful tool that you can use in many, many ways. I like using it for business.
And it's also called emotional freedom technique, right?
Yes, EFT, emotional freedom techniques. Most people now call it tapping, but yeah, all of those names have been used and they're all the same. They're all accurate.
And I know to any of our listeners, if you're not familiar, you went to, I know Pamela's website has tons of her tapping that will help you. And I know with your newsletters also, you have a lot of tapping videos.
I do. And of course, the book with Jack Canfield is a good resource.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I will have a link to that on your speaker page.
Thanks.
Moving on, what is the number one thing that somebody must do with our high ticket offers during times of upheaval and challenges? I mean, right now we're going through a major challenge, but there's always challenges of some sort out there.
Right. Great question. So I'm a big believer in the advice to not discount and not sell yourself short with what you're selling. Now, this global pandemic has really changed things, and still my advice tends to be don't discount, but instead bonus. So how can you give people more value? And that's true. It's true for high ticket offers. It's true for low ticket offers. You know, we're seeing people giving things away for free that were low ticket before. And I think that's really great in this time. For high ticket offers, what can you add to that to give them even more value and make it more possible for them to say yes to things that they would need anyway? You know, we're never inviting them into something that's not essential for them in life or business or health or spirituality or whatever the area is in which they wish transformation. But how can we make that offer that much more caring and supportive right now?
And I love what you just said too. I mean, I know you talked about people having giving away their low value or their low number things up for free, but those are also great bonuses to add to your high end.
Yes, they very much can be. You know, if you have a $3,000 offer, do you have a $300 or $500 thing that you usually sell that you could bonus in? You know, it's a wonderful thing to do.
One thing that so many people often ask is, you know, how can we break through the noise? There's so much noise out there on the net. And with the global pandemic, more people are out there and some people see them as competitors. So how can we break through the noise and really keep a positive focus and continue to thrive in our business?
So I'm going to give several steps for this that I think are all very important. One is to make sure that you're not ignoring what's going on in the world. So it's not that every post has to be about a global pandemic, but you want to always make sure that your posts are relevant to, and so you're tying into what's front of mind for a lot of people. In terms of breaking through the noise, I mean, I think having a very good marketing message is a good way to break through the noise. But the other thing is all of the tools that you need anyway during any time just become more important during a pandemic. So staying relevant and staying tied in to the conversation that's going in your client's mind, that's true all the time. And it just has additional power during the pandemic. Making yourself likable, accessible, caring, authentic in your presentations, whether they're video presentations or blog posts or social posts or Facebook Lives or whatever they are, that's very important. During a pandemic, people want to, or during, you know, a crisis like this, people want to feel very connected to you. They're going to feel more connected to you when those things are true. Also, I'm watching the arc of what's going on in people's conversations and news. So when the crisis first started, everyone was in real fear and overwhelm. And so the messages that I was putting out and that I encouraged my clients to put out were really based in, I know you're afraid, let's talk about the fear, let's work through this. Just a couple weeks later, nobody wanted to talk about fear again. They wanted to talk about how we're going to move forward in this, and really what the next steps are and how we can stay positive and all of that kind of stuff. It's a very different conversation to relate to. It's still about the crisis, but it's coming from a different place. So really noticing what's out there in the world conversation and tapping into that, I think, is a way. And then of course putting your own spin on that, your own brand, your own message, is a way to stay in the forefront of people's attention.
And how, because I'm curious, how do you even attempt to do that? I am very tired of all the email subject lines. How to move forward from COVID-19, how to do this, how to do that. And so I will talk about it, or even on my Facebook Lives, I'll mention it. It's what's happening right now. But I have never used that as a title in any way, shape, or form. So is it good to use these in titles, or is it best not to?
I'm going to give a piece of advice that I've given many times, and I think it's relevant here, which is, do not assume that the way you think is the way your ideal clients think.
True.
You may be tired of it. A lot of people aren't. I mean, I'm with you at this point. I don't want to talk about fear anymore. I don't want to talk about overwhelm. I want to talk about at least moving forward. And really, can we just get back to the marketing conversation? I get it. And if I completely left the pandemic, I would leave my audience. So I'm going to at least find a way to refer to it. But, it doesn't mean that you have to be alarmist with it. So, you can talk about, for example, the new normal, which I think is a fairly positive message of moving forward. How can we access, what is the new normal of visibility might be something that would be appropriate for you.
That's a food for thought.
You can try it. You try it.
Yeah. But it definitely is food for thought. I mean, I have a lot of ideas and a lot of, even from talking to my clients, they're still basically focused on, again, how do I stand out from the crowd? How do I, visibility? How do I get visible in front of my ideal audience? And I don't know too much how that's changed, except for there's more competition out there. And I hate that word competition, because I really don't believe we compete with anybody. I honestly believe that we are all, that there's more than enough out there for any and all of us. And that with the pandemic, it's even more so.
I believe that there is, that, we all need to be sharing our gifts at this time. And the way that you stand out from the crowd is the same way you always do, generally by being polarizing, by taking a stand for where you are. And of course, this is your expertise, as much or more than mine. But for me, it's always, where can I differentiate myself from some people, even if I create an us versus them, not because I'm trying to create conflict or anything, but I'm trying to say, I'm drawing the line here. My clients belong on this side. If you're on that side, you're not my client.
Right. When people ask me what makes them stand, or what makes them unique, my answer is always, whenever you look at other people in your industry, what do they do that drives you nuts?
Oh, such a good answer. Such a good answer. Yes.
because that's, because so often we try to start comparing ourselves. Well, Pamela does this, Pamela does that, and I don't do that. But whenever I start saying, what do these other people do that I don't like, that's, a huge light bulb moment for a lot of people. And moving forward, Pamela, can you share a business strategy that people can implement in 15 minutes or less?
Sure. This is going to sound like a kind of unusual strategy, but it's going to help you move forward on the things that I believe will move the needle in your business and make you the most money. I would spend 15 minutes a day considering, what am I resisting? Now that sounds like a mindset technique, but there's almost always more on your to-do list than you can do. Often you're making prioritization choices, and almost always we walk away from the thing that is the scariest, even if we are not acknowledging it that way. And usually the scariest thing for us to do is also the thing that has the potential to bring us the greatest business, whether it is connecting, whether it's reaching out to potential JV partners, whether it is reaching out to potential clients, whether it's raising our fees, whatever it is. And so just looking at what am I feeling? What am I resisting? What have I put off for several days? And I actually want to credit Keith Cunningham, who wrote a book called The Road Less Stupid, which is a business book that I absolutely love. And he talks about thinking time. He suggests longer than 15 minutes, but I've found that if I focus on what I'm resisting, 15 minutes is the perfect amount of time for me to acknowledge the problem and break through and be able to take action in a really accelerated rate.
I love that answer, and it's definitely very unique, and I can see the impact of it. Absolutely can see the impact of it. I know with me, a lot of times what I resist is something that I need to learn something. So I have it in my mind, it's going to take me hours longer. And I know a lot of people, if they say the same, usually when we resist something, it's because we're afraid of doing it, we're afraid of the outcome, we think it's going to take too long, we think it's going to be hard. So how do you sort of even cipher through that to really fine tune what it is that you are resisting and why? And if you're resisting time or learning, how do you get past that resistance?
Such a great response. So it's funny, when you asked for a strategy, I gave you what's basically a mindset exercise. Now you asked how to push through resistance. I'm going to give you a strategy instead. So one of the reasons I think we get stopped at that is that we have not distinguished between the ability to do a task and a project. So a task is one thing that I have to do. Click send on an email, that's a task. If I say something like, write the emails for my launch, that's not a task. That's a project. I have to first scope out the launch, and I have to decide on all the angles of all the emails. Then I have to write the copy. Then I have to, so one of the things I think that can speed you up when you're resisting is to actually not try to do it, but try to break it down to its component parts. Because what you may find is there are several steps at the beginning that are actually not as hard. And the momentum of those steps will propel you into the rest of it. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense. Yes, I love that. Thank you very much for sharing that. And I know that you have an absolute fantastic gift for us. Can you share what it is?
Oh, thank you. Well, I love this. It's called 3 freebie templates that work for coaches and healers. So, we all know about the importance of freebies. I've been talking about brand, but your freebie is a great introduction to your brand, an extension of your brand. But often people look at freebies and go, oh, they feel so difficult to create. So I've created this 3 freebie templates that walks you through 3 of the most popular types of freebies and how you can create them much more simply so that you can have a freebie up and running in your business.
Love that. Thank you very much. And you want to head on over to bizsuccessin15.com. That's biz, B-I-Z, success, N-I-N, 1515.com/Pamela. All lowercase, Pamela. And so head on over to bizsuccessin15.com/Pamela and grab your own 3 freebie templates. You'll be glad you did. You'll be well on your way to creating your own irresistible freebie. And Pamela, do you have any parting words for us?
Sure. One of the things I've learned in business is if you find yourself stumped in the direction you need to go, it may not be a strategic challenge, it may be a mindset challenge. And you need to be willing to work in both in order to achieve your goals. So look for what's stopping you. Ask yourself, is this strategic or is it mindset? What do I need to do to move forward and keep moving forward?
I love that, Pamela, and thank you very much for being our guest today. It's really been a pleasure speaking with you.
My pleasure, Cindy.
And to our listeners, if you enjoyed today's show, feel free to share it with your friends. You'll want to hop on over to bizsuccessin15.com/Pamela. You'll find all links mentioned on today's show. You can re-listen to Pamela's words of wisdom, catch up on past episodes that you might have missed. And while you're there, be sure to grab Pamela's gift to you, the 3 freebie templates. Be sure to tune in next week with another amazing guest. Big hugs.
You've been listening to Biz Success in 15. For all links mentioned in today's show and to watch or listen to previous episodes, visit bizsuccessin15.com. Thanks so much for listening, and be sure to tune in next week for another amazing guest.